Have you ever heard of the term Ex-Offender Information Provision System? It's a system that started in June 2005, and with this, about those who have served time for sexual offenses against children under 13. The Ministry of Justice now gives police information like scheduled release dates and intended residences. Based on that information, the police continue to monitor the whereabouts of the individuals for more than 5 years and work to prevent repeat offenses. That's right. So why did I suddenly start talking about this system? The reason is this time. This case actually triggered the system for sharing information on released offenders. A first-grade elementary school girl was abducted and ultimately murdered for the purpose of committing an indecent act. The worst case, the Nara Prefecture child abduction and murder case. Around 2 p.m. on November 17, 2004, a student from Tomioka Elementary School in Gakuen Taiwancho, Nara City, Nara Prefecture. First grader Kaide Nagatake Ariyama, who was 7 years old at the time, went missing on her way home from school. Her mother grew worried when her daughter was late coming home. The parents contacted police around 6:45 p.m. But about an hour later, just after 8 p.m., an email arrived on the mother's cell phone. They received their daughter and a message with a photo believed to show Kaide-chan's body. Around midnight on the 18th in Higuri town, Nara Prefecture, about 6 kilometers from Kaide-chan's home. She was quickly found dead in Nara. The prefectural police launched an investigation into abduction, murder, and body abandonment. According to the autopsy and judicial examination, there were hairs and blood on the body that did not belong to Kaide-chan. The cause of death was determined to be drowning, since the culprit had sent emails from Kaide-chan's cell phone. The location information was identified from the global positioning system. In addition, the culprit went back and forth to the scene multiple times. Clues considered relevant to the case, like eyewitness reports of suspicious cars, were collected. But none proved decisive, and the investigation encountered difficulties. About a month later, on December 14th, just after 1 a.m., another email was sent to the mother from Kaide-chan's cell phone. This case suddenly began moving toward resolution. The email said, "Next, I'll take your younger sister," and included a photo of Kaide-chan and her sister. However, it was discovered that when the culprit sent this email, he also forwarded it to his own cell phone. As a result, the culprit was quickly identified. 2 weeks after the second email, Kaide was found. On December 30th, 36-year-old newspaper delivery man Kaoru Kobayashi was arrested. Evidence like Kaide-chan's cell phone, school bag, and other personal items were found at his home. Around 100 pornographic videos and magazines, as well as girls' clothing and school swimsuits that were believed to have been stolen in the past, were also found. Roughly 80 items were found. Kobayashi quickly confessed, admitting to kidnapping and killing Kaede-chan. He talks about his motive, who would kidnap someone, but it was fine. He kidnapped and killed someone else's daughter. He even pulled out several of her teeth. After assaulting her, he disposed of the body. It's true that he sent those photos to the mother's cell phone. Even so, during the trial, Kobayashi showed no signs of remorse and never apologized to the victim's family. Many say that perpetrators of heinous crimes often have tragic pasts. However, the environment in which Kobayashi grew up was also far from ordinary. On November 30th, 1968, he was running a fuel sales store in Osaka City. He was born as the eldest son among 3 siblings to his father. His father was strict, and young Kobayashi faced daily corporal punishment, but his mother always protected him. That's right, but when he was around 10, his protective mother died from childbirth complications. He left behind his feelings from that time, including the loss of his mother. He wrote about his warm desire to protect his younger brothers in place of his mother. Also, he apparently worked as a newspaper delivery boy since elementary school to help support his poor family. After his mother died, his paternal grandmother moved in. Still, his father continued corporal punishment, claiming it was educational. Yes, he hit him with golf clubs, metal bats, and threw objects. The corporal punishment was so severe it was essentially abuse. There was a time when his grandmother couldn't stand to watch anymore and stepped in to stop it. But his father wouldn't listen, saying, "He's my child, so don't go against my way of disciplining him." After that, even his grandmother couldn't protect him anymore. Because his younger brother, who was born later, had cerebral palsy, his grandmother and father became completely focused on him, and he was often left alone. On top of that, he had been bullied ever since kindergarten, and things got even worse after he entered junior high school. Because he was born with poor vision in his left eye, among other reasons, he was severely bullied by a group of delinquents. When he went to school, he was ignored, and when he came home, he was beaten. This greatly influenced his personality development. Later, during the defendant's questioning, when he was asked about the most painful bullying he experienced, he answered like this: "Being ignored by everyone in my grade was the worst. It felt like I didn't exist, like I was nothing. Still, it was more enjoyable than being at home." In the winter of his third year of middle school, a decisive event widened the rift with his father beyond repair. When he told his father his right eye was blurry and he couldn't see well, his father dismissed it as an excuse not to study. Still, he went to the hospital for an exam. He was diagnosed with retinal detachment, and even after surgery, he needed to be hospitalized for more than a month. It was that serious of a condition. He said this experience made him realize his father would never believe him. Later, as a high school student, he developed special feelings toward children and engaged in indecent acts. As a second-year high school student at a club camp in Tottori Prefecture, he targeted 2 children near his inn in a nearby apartment and committed indecent acts. Also, when he turned 20 while delivering newspapers, he committed indecent acts toward 2 5-year-old girls, and this came to light. He received a 2-year prison sentence, suspended for 4 years. In 1991, during probation, he tried indecent acts at an Osaka City public housing complex, making the victim cry. He tried to strangle a 5-year-old girl to make her lose consciousness. He was arrested for attempted murder and sentenced to 3 years in prison, serving a total of about 5 years. However, this imprisonment did not lead to his rehabilitation. After his release on September 26, 2004, he was prosecuted again for forcibly molesting a 6-year-old child. This happened just 2 months before the incident. It was filed with the Nara District Court on February 14, 2006. According to this psychiatric evaluation, he was diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder, meaning he feels no guilt about hurting others or breaking rules and is unable to reflect on his own actions. In fact, his behavior in court was extremely unusual. Kobayashi stated at the first trial that he feels no remorse and has no confidence he will change. He wanted the death sentence quickly to make a name for himself. That was his thinking. It is also said he never apologized to the victims' families because he intentionally provoked them to receive the death penalty, and his scheme came true. Generally, in Japanese courts, whether or not the death penalty is applied is judged based on the Nagayama criteria. In other words, this means that even if there was only one victim killed, a prison sentence is very likely. However, in this case, the perpetrator took photos of the murdered child's body and sent them to the mother. Such brutality, the lack of apology to the bereaved family, and absence of leniency were considered. About 2 years after the incident, on September 26, 2006, the Nara District Court sentenced him to death, saying only his life could atone for his crime. At that time, Kobayashi reportedly grinned and made a guts pose. On February 21, 2013, his death sentence was carried out, executing a criminal who wanted to die. Did he truly face the crimes he committed and reflect on them? Kaede-chan messaged her family every morning with, "I'm leaving now." She did this even on the day of the incident before school. She also sent a message to her father saying, "Do your best at work." That's right, Kaede-chan's cell phone was part of the family's happy routine. She was late getting home. What was delivered to the mother, who was worried about her daughter, was not news of her daughter's safety. A happy family was suddenly burdened. Even after 16 years, her parents still feel they couldn't protect Kaede, and their sorrow remains deep. They commented that the regret will never go away. Prompted by this case, the National Police Agency and Ministry of Justice began talks to prevent repeat sex offenses, creating a system to share information on released offenders. In addition, in Nara City, gatherings for Children's Safety Day are now being held, and patrols by watch groups are conducted day and night. On this point, the installation of surveillance cameras and the enactment of ordinances are only the starting point. With this in mind, Kaede-chan's parents say the following: "There is never an end to safety and peace of mind. In order to prevent incidents like what happened to our daughter, we adults need to watch over children with warm hearts." This case is by no means just a thing of the past. According to the 2018 police white paper regarding children under the age of 13, sexual crimes, just the ones that have been discovered, are said to number over 1,000. It means that there is a real possibility that one day your own child could suddenly become a victim. Of course, it takes effort from all of society, but there may be lives that can be saved depending on the awareness of each and every one of us. I pray for the soul of Kaide Ariyama, who passed away in this case, and hope that children can live safely and peacefully.